Welcome all to another Inference Gateway extension. Pick your name. It is February 27th. We are recording this meeting. It will be uploaded to the cloud, and we are following the CNCF guidelines. So please behave accordingly to all three. Cool. So to jump in, we'll go ahead and review action items from the previous meeting. It's on Rob and I. I am working on this. We have some improvements on the README that I think tackle some of these points. I have been writing a pretty lengthy doc. I want to edit it down so people don't have to read through my thoughts for 10, 15 minutes and have it a little more concise. So working on that, Rob, I'm not sure where you are with this one.
Yeah, no, I haven't found time yet.
Yeah. Totally get it. Cool. Moving along from that, Damian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know I've been, getting pinged by different people that are wanting to kick the tires on the project, and so I pretty much sent everyone to the getting started guide from the web docs, and that is not functional. So I created that issue 407. Kellen, thanks. I know that you provided some comments in there. So this was more of just kind of a PSA, and then just making sure that we get this addressed for the V02 release. And I think, the underlying issue is having release docs. So the underlying issue is that we need kind of two sets of docs, right? We need a set of docs that's using the latest, main branch, and then a set of docs that's for a tagged release. And as part of that, the third sub bullet is the script that I originally put together to manage a quick start guide is broken since we moved the quick start guide from our README and to the site source docs. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, I went through the README yesterday. I got it working first thing in the morning. Thanks for calling us out. But yeah, we can definitely split if we want to create something automated. My goal lately has been to kind of increase our velocity, our progress, our effective use of time. So I think automation on this front might be a good idea because we're intending to have a pretty quick scale of releases while we're still in alpha. You may have noticed that V1 Alpha 2, we're cutting. We might be foregoing an API review on that. We've definitely made some API changes that have foregone review. This is just in an effort to be quick. So anyone wanting to look into this, obviously versioned getting started guides are great, are going to be more stable. But yeah, just trying to make sure everyone's time is used effectively here.
Yeah, and Kellen, to your point of automation is, pardon me. So when I was working on the Envoy Gateway project, something that we did there that I thought it was very helpful is that we created a latest tag for every build, and so we'd have not only a version tag that we would release every so often, but on every PR that merged, the latest tag would be updated, and then we had documentation that would default to the latest tagged release, but that a user can then select from the documentation to go to the latest release. And so I believe that's similar to how Istio does documentation. So I think, long story short, is there's some prior art out there that I think we could follow to kind of support the automation of having latest information and latest builds along with tagged releases.
Yeah, that sounds great. We can cut some issues for those for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get ahead of this. We never got to this with Gateway, and it's been a huge pain. So finding a way to version our docs would be awesome. It fun, at least when we looked into this with Gateway, it requires a fair bit of restructuring, but it's a lot less painful if you do it from the start.
Cool. Moving on, if that's cool. I think we're square. Sweet. Awesome. Nir has been looking into getting the end-to-end test set up for CI, which I'm super excited about. Nir, please. And I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Just want to make sure.
Yes,
Perfect.
you do. Yeah. So hi everyone. So I've been following the instructions that Jeff wrote. He built some CPU-based VLLM image, and he documented it in an issue that Denion opened. So I followed his instruction. I was able to run it in my cluster, in OpenShift cluster. So if you want, I can show you. It's pretty short. But I would also like to discuss, so what's next? Now we have CPU-based VLLM image that can be used for inferencing. It takes a lot of time to do this request of chat completions. But maybe we want to put it in gating tests whenever someone submits a PR. I see hands. Clayton.
So the one concern we raised last time, or hasn't been raised, is the characteristics that define GPU, TPU balancing are exactly what the algorithms are taking advantage of. And so there's the functional side of it, like does stuff get there? And do we actually get valid results? I was actually going to suggest, I think, I'm not positive, but I want to at least advance the argument. Actually, a while back last year, did a VLLM emulator, which emulates, not emulating VLLM, but emulating a chat completion endpoint that takes as inputs arbitrary parameters for its latency response curves and just generates like totally fake responses based on some distribution. I would actually think we would want that as well to test the algorithms, something CI based to test various forms of correctness. And then there's some tests that would be in the middle ground that probably could use either. And I would probably bias to whatever's like fastest and cheapest. I know the Go one I have is actually very fast and very cheap. So like, I do think we need to take into the role of, we need to think about realistically simulating parts of model servers, like model servers that don't implement the metrics we expect for some tests anyway. So I was actually going to say it's a yes and kind of situation there. At least it's based on what it seems like the things we'll need to cover that CPU can't cover.
Yes. Basically, I agree. So it doesn't cover everything, of course. But comparing to what we have now, so what currently there are no gating end-to-end tests at all. I think CPU-based end-to-end test is a good start. And yes, definitely we can evolve it and do more close to reality tests eventually. But maybe we should take it step by step. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would say like, I think we should have a synthetic test server independent of the CI test serving. And what I can do is I can take the code that I have and just get it prepped up, and so folks can see what it looks like. But it is a Go shim designed to simulate the behavior of an LLM engine and takes injectable things. So you can do things like, say I want this output length versus, having to rely on it, which is important for some of the algorithms that'll come down the road. So I agree. Like, I think the CI CPU or the CPU image being used in gating is good, and we should also probably ramp up the parallel testing as well.
Mhm.
Abdullah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree. I was just like, as a first step, like it scares me because every time I have to run the test manually, and actually I do it every after commit that anybody else does, because again, there's no automation. I want to make sure that we don't break things as we're getting closer to release. It would be really awesome if we can get the CPU-based one running, especially on the on the latest VLLM version. So again, we make sure that they didn't break us as well. So a simulator is good to simulate the algorithm, but I want VLLM to be part of CI to make sure that they're not breaking us.
Yeah. Catch regressions in VLLM.
Yeah.
Now, I think we will also need to catch regressions in VLLM performance, and this is something like Cube kind of punted on historically because the cost of GPUs is so high. I don't think we can. So maybe there's like a separate discussion, which is I think we need to fund CI test environment for a class of accelerators. Maybe that's something from a Google perspective. So Abdullah, you and I can follow up on that.
About the last point about the being up to date with the VLLM code. So I think that's a great point. But just to make sure we are on the same page, I'm currently using an image that Jeff1 built. So I'm not sure, VLLM make progress so fast. So I'm not sure it's up to date today. So it could be, I don't know, maybe last week it was up to date, but now it's not. So, and as far as I can tell, at least up until now, there is no formal image from VLLM for CPU based
we could make it like a task somewhere that we freshen it up every, I don't know, once in a while until we get that support upstream from VLLM.
Yes.
Is there an open upstream discussion on getting that support already?
I think there is. I'm not sure. Maybe we should ask Jeff, who was involved in building this image.
The official docs, the official VLM docs don't mention anything. For
Yeah,
CPU, they tell you go build it yourself.
Yeah, I would like us to have a formal discussion with the VLLM project, Abdullah or Kellen or Daniel, like just to say like, hey, we think there's a need for this. Here's our use case. I can bring that up with Rob the next time I have a one-on-one with him. But I do think it's a reasonable thing.
This is not the only project that probably would like it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So actually, do you have a list of other projects that might want it?
I would imagine Envoy AI Gateway would like it. So you can also do CI testing. I mean, anybody who wants to do automated CI testing and not depend on anything external anywhere will want something like this.
Okay. Can someone write up a proposal? I mean, like, I wouldn't want to merge someone's random CPU image without at least a process in place for the upstream engagement plus the point you raised, Abdullah, about periodically updating it. But I do think it's fine to like move fast on that and have something like forked until, as long as we've done the double booking with the upstream project.
Yeah, I agree with that. Making a human-powered cron job to update the CPU-based image, I think, would put a lot of overhead on us with not a lot of support from VLLM. Should it break? This sounds good.
Yeah, and I'll draft a PR with the extracted simulator for the fake VLLM endpoint. It'd probably take me a couple of days, but it was the test bed for some of the original gateway discussions. So I think it should be. I mean, the basic algorithm is stupid simple for right now. There's only like two things that really happen: prefill phase and decode phase, and we can emulate chunked prefill as necessary. I don't think like the goal is not to be perfectly slavishly accurate to VLLM behavior. It's to emulate a model server behaving in a way we expect, and then we still really are going to need those verification tests for full verification of the performance benefits and all that. So maybe, Kellen, that's a thing we can follow up on from an internal. Like, let's get that discussion started with the CI teams.
Sounds good.
Nir, do you want to take the action item to connect with the VLLM community on the CPU-based one? Like open an issue at least there and start the discussion? Just to make sure that that this follow-up is actually someone actually will be looking into it.
Yeah, I just did a quick search on the VLM issues. I didn't see any open issues related to CPU builds.
Maybe this is something we can cut an issue, try to gather, like it was mentioned, we can't be the only ones that want this. Let's gather some folks, make an issue, and then maybe we can go to the VLM OSS meeting as kind of as part of that engagement we were talking about yesterday.
Kserve might actually want this. I actually would. Kserve may already have thought through some of the implications of this for their own test environment, so we should double check with Dion.
Hey, just really quickly to loop back to the original point on this topic. So we are in favor, while we address the CPU build for the long term, we all do agree that we need to get the CPU image into our end-to-end testing and create a CI job so that we don't have to keep manually testing and have GPU requirements, right?
Yeah, I think for the short term, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
Something is better than nothing for sure, and then we can improve it. Yeah.
So Nir, that's something that you can take on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions? If so, feel free to ask them, or I think it should
Yeah,
be
I
pretty
do, but
straightforward.
yeah, I do have some minor questions, but we can take it offline.
Okay. One quick question as I think about it too is just to make sure it's not only VLM CPU, but did you also test it with the Quen model, or
Yes.
did you?
Do you
Okay,
want me
great.
to share, like, I can show you what to the point I got, so it's not completely end-to-end, but you can see it's working. You can see the model, the adapter, curl commands.
Yeah, if you actually don't mind in that issue that we had this discussion on, you should still have it as a reference in our Slack thread that you and I had. If you just go back there and provide an update, that would be, I think, probably the best place to do that.
The issue. Okay.
I can also throw a topic here at the end, tail end, if we have time. It'd be cool to see you run through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't know why I muted myself. Danian, it looks like you have the next point.
Yeah, before I go on there too, one last point, Nir, if you can, in the AI section of today's meeting, if you could just tag your name there and with kind of what we discussed about you kind of just taking the lead with getting the CPU Quen image implemented in the repo.
Yes.
All right. So
sorry, Danny, you reminded me of something.
Yep.
Me and Nir were discussing on the side that he needs to be a contributor so he can have the okay to test on his PRs. Nir, are you a member of Kubernetes proper, just not SIGs? Because it's a little easier to get you membership. Otherwise, we kind of would need to have that discussion.
I don't think I am. So I contributed to several CNCF projects, but I don't think I ever joined the groups.
Okay.
I can point you to the requirements. It's not too bad. Usually it's just if you have a couple PRs in and you get a sponsor you need 2 sponsors. One of them needs to be from a different employer. But yeah, should be able to get you access pretty soon.
Yeah, Nir, if you work on this, happy to sponsor you. So yeah, we could get that taken care of.
Perfect. Thanks.
Sorry, Danny. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. And just to put a bow on that last point. So Rob, if you want to add an AI for yourself there, it's just that you're going to send over Nir the link to help him walk through being.
Yeah, I'll do it right.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. This was just really a question. I know this topic, I kind of quoted it from last week's meeting. Just wanted to see where we went with this. Was there an issue created? Did we come to I don't get a sense we came to a determination last week about which controller's writing status for inference model. So just wanted to circle back around with that. Clayton, since you brought that up as a topic last week, is there any updates from you?
We generated more use cases where we might need something like it. I don't think we followed up really. Rob made a really compelling point last time that I still haven't figured out how to answer, which is like, we want gateways to have their own implementations, and then I also don't want to have extra components, but then I don't want to put a single writer in the gateway endpoint pickers themselves. But I feel like the compromise we discussed last time, which is like, we could absolutely just do 2 components and run them alongside the pickers as a sidecar and let one be leader elected and not, would work. We just haven't. I think we need to go back and like actually say whether we need that use case for what time frame. The additional use case that I was thinking about that came up last week, in the last week, was as we're poking at the latency objective seeking. I was kind of like hypothesizing. This is like still really early, but I was hypothesizing that the best way to keep that algorithm simple is to periodically just go and look at all the model servers you have and statically assign a latency objective proportional to the expected QPS to each of it. Because what that does is basically means that you have a target, and so that assignment probably is something that looks like a single writer. It could be like a convergent algorithm, right? You could just say like, yeah, let's do the same calculation the same way on the same model servers, and they should turn out. I just don't know that like we don't have a concrete requirement that it has to be materialized, but there's some use cases for it, and a lot of actually what ByteDance did in their original, like in AI bricks, for having a service endpoint slice per adapter has some advantages for that as well, because operationally you could just be like, oh yeah, I know what latency this instance should be hitting from a cube perspective. So it's still too early to add that as a new requirement, but I think we'll probably come up with a few more use cases over the next 3 months that are likely to want something like that.
Yeah, for now, I think again, like in the context of EVP, we're not updating this. That's like at least for now, we're not doing any status updates on inference models, especially not also on inference pool. We are implementing the semantics of like conflict in the endpoint picker, but again, we're not updating the status. And yeah, I guess until we get that consensus on like what that extra controller is going to be responsible for, I think we're in a good shape here.
I think the status condition writing is like a nice to have, but I don't think it's like really critical for us to launch. Like it's more of a all the positioning discussion we had last time was like it helps people
debug,
get their first thing running successfully. That's a nice to have. I think not a.
I have a issue open for emitting events from EBP. I think events is like a reasonable middle ground, at least for now. So we can get that in as well.
No worse than Kubernetes. It's a very low bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I work my way through the K gateway implementation, I'm hoping to have support for inference pool status. I'm not sure if it's going to be there in the first swipe at it, but the plan is to have K gateway manage inference pool status, but not inference model status. And that's kind of circles back to Rob's point from last week is, K gateway is not going to be reconciling inference models. And so, yeah, it's still a topic that we need to figure out. So with that said, I just want to make sure that we don't lose this point or this topic. So, Clayton, do you want to create an issue, or is it better as a discussion? I just want to make sure we don't lose this.
It might be an architectural principles kind of thing. I feel like we should land one side or another and just say like, nothing depends on this, but we want to record that we had the principle. And then if somebody disagrees, we can always go. It's easier to change a line of text in a principle, and at least having it there, we'll remember that it exists.
and we'll be able to go recreate this discussion in 2 months or 6 years, whichever one it is.
6 years. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys then.
Well, related to this one, maybe it's a quick one. Do we want to remove the endpoint picker not healthy condition for now? Because it's not quite clear that we'll be able to support it.
Do we strictly need it to succeed at the mission that we have
No.
defined for our minimum viable scope?
No, I think we should. Yeah, no.
Is it going to add a strong operational burden to end customers? Like, I think for anybody running the OSS version, it's going to be go look at the.
The issue is that nobody is able to support this. So, like, we're having the condition, but at least the two controllers that aim to support like Inference Gateway, are not planning to update this or populate this condition. So it feels worse that we have it defined, but the initial gateway controllers will not support it. So I would start by removing it and then adding it in the future if we get to the point where we're able to actually support this. This is a question for gateway, controller implementers, Daniel and Rob.
Sorry, what was the question?
The endpoint picker not healthy condition on the inference pool status.
Oh yeah, I'm all for removing that. Thanks for creating the issue. I think it's just not scalable, not really practical. I understand how it got created, but from the perspective of someone writing a controller, you don't want to also have to constantly be updating this status every time health changes.
Okay. Yeah, bringing it up because I view on Alpha 2.
We do for nodes, and that's a fundamental part of the operational model. I think what you're arguing, Rob, is it's not yet a fundamental part of the operational model.
Yeah. I mean, endpoint health changes pretty rapidly, or can.
Endpoint picker health changes rapidly.
Well, so to be even, there are some implementations, including GK's implementation, where LBs just don't there's not a way to get health status at all anyways. It's sufficiently disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, +1 for me for not getting ahead of ourselves, defining conditions until implementations come along a little bit further.
Sounds good.
I think that's
reasonable to do this.
Yeah, if the operational responsibility of the endpoint picker falls on the inference pool owner, then it's definitely an important part. If it does not fall on the owner, then it's a questionable condition at the current time.
Abdullah, I'm taking a look at the issue 385 for the first time. So give me a minute here after the call's over, and I'm gonna just think about it a little bit more, and I'll comment on it. Sure.
Thanks.
Cool. To wrap this one up, I think it would be cool to revisit once we have some of these implementations completed, because I think that will help us set our standard of expectation for other gateways, such as I know K Gateway and I believe GKE were managing the pool status. So that would be something we expect the gateway to do this based off these implementations. We'll do, inference models handled this way. So then we'll have that standard. And I think the conversation's a little more clear. Is that fair? Cool. Rob, the 0.2 timeline. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward, but I think in previous meetings we said we should aim for, I don't know if it was March 10, week of March 10, in that ballpark for 0.2. And if that is still our goal, we should really have an RC out next week, which does not leave us a lot of time. So I know we have an issue, or I think we have an issue kind of tracking the things we need to close before we get 0.2 out, but it would be good to just do a sanity check and make sure we can still hit that timeline.
Yeah, we have three main must-haves right now, which is refactoring the code that is doing the VLLM's metric scraping, so that it's agnostic to the model server, so that it's easier to support, like, the other model servers that we have. And then the support for the full duplex stream mode as well, supporting streaming in general. Most proxies, they are going to stream the request body and response from between the proxy and the endpoint picker. So we should have that in as well. All the others are nice to have. I don't think there are any other like major issues. Mostly, again, like, more test coverage and adding the events that we just talked about. There is also potentially an improvement to the metrics refresh time that we can do. I don't know if that's a blocker to the release candidate. Probably we can do it after the release candidate. I don't know.
One of my personal things I want to do is I want to tighten up some of our validation. Right now we have some fairly open-ended string fields that I want to lock down a bit more. I can help with that, but just before 0.2.
And the things that we should make immutable.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I can cut that today. That shouldn't be too long. It's just some CEL.
Yeah, but no, revisiting the fields. See, maybe there are other fields that we want to make immutable.
Yeah,
but not just the model name.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I guess I'm also next on the list. So KubeCon is coming up. Month thereabouts. So hopefully a few of us will be able to make it there. For anyone on this call that can be there, I'm thinking about submitting just one of those working session discussion points for Maintainer Summit. I linked the email that went out to Kubernetes dev, sharing how to submit something. If maybe I'll pause here. Of the people on this call, anyone will be at KubeCon and will be interested in a Maintainer Summit session like that?
Yeah, I'd like to, but I won't actually land in time, and I've got all my travel and so forth set up, and it's non-refundable, all that kind of nonsense.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll hold off on that. The thing we've done at other KubeCons in the past for Gateway in general is we've kind of relied on the break rooms to just have working sessions. The last one we had maybe 7 or 8 different working sessions. And it was helpful to just make some progress for the people that were able to make it in person. And, I understand that not everyone was able to make it to the first day. What I linked is just what we did at the most recent KubeCon, but we can probably have some focused discussion topics if there's enough interest. And then just for anyone curious, I linked the 2 talks I'm aware of that will be covering this at the event. And if anyone else has others, feel free to add them as well.
Hey, Rob, I think I missed part of your point regarding the sub-bullet other working sessions.
Sorry. Yeah, it could have cut out on my side. So yeah, just at previous KubeCons, Gateway has basically scheduled some rough working sessions among maintainers to talk on areas they're interested in. That same general thing could apply to us. I find the most useful part of KubeCon for me is discussions with other maintainers, and so kind of scheduling some time where we can talk, at least the set of us that will be able to make it to this KubeCon and work through some items could be helpful.
I'm following you now, and I have got the Google Doc up, see the map, and then the different topics and so forth. And so,
I mean that's from Salt Lake, but we could do the same
right.
thing. We're planning to do the same thing for.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so instead of where I see LLM routing, inference extension, so yeah, I would love to be part of that. So if that's something you put together, just announce it so I can make sure I add it to my calendar.
Yeah, I'll chat with you, and if anyone else on this call is planning on being at KubeCon and would be interested, I'll try and at least find times that work for anyone interested. So maybe either drop your name on the agenda, throw something in chat, whatever, just so I make sure I'm considering everyone.
And I see that there's a link to the session that Clayton and Jaisheng has. Clayton, are you planning on doing this talk ahead of time at all, or do you even want to, or are you just going to roll with doing the talk at KubeCon? Or is Clayton still here? Maybe he jumped off.
I guess we lost him.
Yeah. Okay. Not a big deal.
I'll say it's a mystery to me what they're going to present, but hopefully they share something soon.
Yeah, I just kind of asked the question. Yeah, if he wanted to use one of the community meetings leading up to it to kind of do a dry run of it,
Yeah.
But maybe he wants to, keep keep the news quiet and use the event for for talk. So, anyways, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, so I think we do have some time. Nir, I would love for you to run through what you have so far.
Okay. So let me share my screen. So I need you to allow me to share.
Yeah. One second. Sorry. Cool.
Okay. Share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm running just get pause to show that it's empty. And now I'm going to deploy this deployment and a service. Okay, the service is nothing special. The deployment is deploying the image that runs the VLLM with the CPU based. I'm using the Quen model, and there is one adapter. This is the one, AI Blonde, and I called it LoRa1, just a random name. So I'm going to apply both are created. Init container is running to pull the LoRa adapters. I'll do a watch here.
And Nir, just to make sure that I caught it in the deployment manifest, you have just one LoRa adapter defined, or is it multiple LoRa adapters?
Yes. Now I have one. So theoretically, I'm not sure if there are multiple. I assume there are. Just to run my test, I used one. So I assume we can either use multiple different ones, or we can use the same one multiple times with different names.
Yeah, it's the latter that I used in my testing. So I imagine it's something that we want to make sure is included. Again, even if it's just essentially the same LoRa adapter and just renamed just so that we can demonstrate the LoRa adapter awareness.
More than one.
Yeah.
So we now have the pod running. Okay. So I'll just check the logs to make sure. Oh, sorry. to make sure that it's running and it's healthy. So we can see the health check is okay. I do have here some error. It's related to something specifically to OpenShift, which by default sets the permissions to be more restrictive comparing to Kubernetes cluster. I didn't have time to do the end-to-end in terms of deploying a gateway and HTTP route and these things. So I'm going to run a different pod that uses an image that have curl and JQ. And then from that other pod, I'm going to run curl commands to check that my model is working. So just running the other pod. And I'm going to run this curl command to get the deployed models. So we can see we have the Quen model. This is the base model. And then we have LoRa1, which is the adapter. And now I can run this completions request with a request to write a simple Python random generator. So I'll just copy this one. The thing is that this command, I believe that it's related to the fact that it is CPU based. It takes around 2 minutes. So when I tested it several times, I got sometimes a bit more than 2 minutes and sometimes a bit less than 2 minutes. But this is more or less the time it takes to get a response with the Python code. So you have at least 1 more minute. You have free time until we get a response here. But
yeah,
basically
one thing I
that's
did
it.
Nir, one thing that I did when I was doing this testing, because yeah, to your point, it's taken forever for to get a response from the model server is instead of having it actually kind of write some simple code or whatnot, I said just echo a word back to me, and it echoed, and the response was much quicker. So I mean, I don't know if that's what everyone thinks that's a good idea or not, but I think it may be good just from an end-to-end testing standpoint.
Yeah, I think so. It was mainly for to see that the sanity tests, for myself to see that it's working and it's generating code. But yeah, of course, yes, I can change this command to just say hello, and we're going to get it faster.
Yeah. While we're waiting too, can you go back to the deployment manifest really quick? I want to see something, if you don't mind. You didn't have to set the Hugging Face secret, right?
I did. It's here.
Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure it's needed, but
that's
I think
that's what I'm getting at here. Is I don't think it's needed, but it'd be interesting if you could test without it, because if it's not needed, it's just one additional step that we can get rid of from the quick start guide. Make it easier.
Yeah, so actually it was by mistake, but at the first time I tried to run it, I made a typo in my token, and then I got like 404 not allowed or something like that. So I think without the token, it's not going to work. In the meantime, we got the response. So it took almost 2 minutes, but we can see it here. We can see SID, random.sid, blah, blah, blah. So we have here a random generation code in Python that we got back as a response from this CPU-based image.
Very cool.
And we can see that it was received from LoRaWAN adapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it basically. Of course, I need to add more you know, the HTTP route and the gateway objects. But yeah, I think it's almost there.
Yeah, Nir, if you do want to simplify the gateway implementation, you could look at the E2E test data, where, you know, for E2E, we're just, you know, creating an Envoy deployment and then representing the Envoy configuration in a config map, right? So that could be an easy step for you to take as well.
Yeah.
And probably something that you want to familiarize yourself, because I think to do this kind of image swap out, you know, for E2E, like I said, we it's a little different than the quick start guide, but yeah, I'm in favor of using the CPU image and Quen for the end-to-end testing, as well as a quick start guide, and get dropped that GPU requirement. I know that will be well received by a lot of people that want to kick the tires on the project, but don't have access to GPUs.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great point, Damien. Yeah, kind of expose this to CPU users. Cool. Well, I think that's our agenda for this week. A lot of topics. I'm going to try to comb back through some of these notes. I know we have some action items I didn't capture. So I'm going to try to do that, get in touch with the right people. But yeah, thank you all so much. Hopefully this time next week, we're talking about our RC release. So.
Hey, Kellen, really quick before we do drop off, one last thought that I have on the CPU image, and it's really kind of a question to, you know, the other maintainers. Do we want to support two different images, one GPU based like what we have now, and then one CPU based, or do we just want to say, let's simplify things and just go, you know, with the CPU image?
I think Band-Aid, this is my personal opinion, happy to hear Abdullah's, but my personal opinion is let's just use this image as a Band-Aid and push to a VLLM, because I don't think we should be in the business of trying to support any special cases that VLLM doesn't with regards to model server, because that's just a lot of manpower that I don't think we have. That's my thought. So I think for now, let's just support this CPU image for the end-to-end test. That should work with the standard VLLM GPU image, right? You can just like swap it out. I mean, so long as you stand up your VLLM instance and it runs, because from our end-to-end test perspective, we're just sending the open AI API call.
It should replace it. You should just be able to replace it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And my point is do we want to have two different sets? I'm just trying to think through, like, okay, there may be someone that says, well, I have GPUs, and so I want to use the GPU version of VLM or not. And so I'm just trying to think through, do we just say, hey, from the quick start to the end-to-end testing, we're just using the CPU image and dropping the GPU, or do we say, hey, we want to be able to have the ability where maybe a quick start and E2E defaults to the CPU image, but with an environmental variable, let's say, for example, that a user could run through the quick start or run end-to-end using the GPU based image?
No, my personal opinion is that the CPU image is a cost necessity for CI. And I think we should actually default to GPU, because that's kind of what we're building this for. Like all our metrics and everything is tailored towards accelerator leveraging. So I think for our getting started guide, I think we could leave a note if it's like, hey, if you want to try this but don't have access to GPUs, here's how you could do it. We can't really promise any performance though.
Right.
Like the performance we quote.
But by the way, if you limit output tokens, you do better.
Oh, like the max output tokens at per RAM?
Yeah, that helps a lot. If I was working with a different offering, and when I changed that, I got better. I got better results. Not good results, just better.
Sure. Is this just in general or CPU serving?
It should be in general. In general, it's just it's a question of what your inter-token latency is, right?
Right.
And the problem is on CPU, I was seeing, I was running CPU on my Mac, right? And I was getting, 0.07 tokens per second. Okay. So if you try to get out, 200 tokens, it just takes a long time. If you try to take out only 35 tokens, this takes less time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Still not
Agreed.
great. Still not great, but it's better, right?
Yeah. It's quadratic. I believe. Yeah, it's quadratic growth for a longer request or a longer response. Excuse me. But yeah, totally makes sense. Cool.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks all. See you next week.
Thank you. Yep.